Welcome back to Heroes Next Door. Thank you all for joining us today. Today we are in Delaware, and we're going to be doing the American Legion Ambulance, Station 64. This is an EMS service, so let's go see what they have. So we're going to be meeting up with the chief today. He's going to walk us through. This is both a paid service and a volunteer service. Chief?
Chief.
Mike Barolo.
How are you, bro?
Thanks for inviting us down.
My name is Brad Gosch. I'm the Director and Chief of Operations here at American Legion Ambulance.
Well, thank you for inviting us down. We're excited to do this.
We're
We
excited
do a
to
lot of different fire departments, but we don't usually have a standalone EMS service. And you guys have been around for over 100 years, I hear.
Yes, sir.
So we're excited to, kind of look what you guys have and how it all operates.
We've actually progressed over the years. You can't see it from here, but down the street is where we originally started with the American Legion. And due to the size of our district, how it expanded so fast, we just didn't have enough room in that building anymore. So we had to look. We're still part of the Legion, but we had to relocate so we could better serve the community. And that's where you get this.
How old is this building then?
We moved in here in March of 2013.
Okay.
So this building we just hit about 11 years, I think.
Nice. So we walk right in. Where I came through is where the public would come in.
Yes, sir.
To meet, and it opens up to a nice lobby. Can you kind of talk me through what you have in the lobby here?
If you notice over here, this is just a big wide open space. It was our dream to eventually get, we had a lead on one of our original Cadillac ambulances.
Yeah.
So one of our oldest living members who's now passed away, that was his thing. So we're still trying to find that ambulance.
Okay.
But that's where this opened and why them doors are there, because that's where this was going to be.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that we see at a lot of the different firehouses. They like to bring in their old apparatus. So you're bringing that same kind of tradition in the EMS service.
Yes. We now, like you said earlier, we're EMS only, so we're unique to the area. Clayton Fire District is to our west, and Smyrna Fire District, which you're standing in now, neither one of those departments have an ambulance.
Okay.
So there's a little back history in that. It's not here anymore, but if you look over here on the wall, you'll see a thing that says A44.
Mm-hmm.
We originally carried the same number as the fire departments, but as standalone EMS and a couple other stations, they decided to separate it. So I think it was probably the 60s, they switched us from the 44 to the 64.
Okay.
So, and this is pretty much our wall of us.
Yeah.
You know, every firefighter has a wall of me.
Yeah.
We have a wall of us.
Exactly. Well, you have the ambulances on your trophies versus the fire trucks.
Yes. So this was our original patch.
Wow.
That was made back in the 30s.
Okay.
This was on our old building outside. So kind of like how people like that patina thing on vehicles.
Yeah.
We like the old look and didn't have it redone. We brought it here just to do this.
Yeah. Bringing that tradition, it makes a real big difference. And this is what?
This is our wall of honor.
Okay.
So we did what was called a capital campaign.
Yep.
And anybody who gave to the capital campaign got a thing here on their thing, and they also get a brick out there by the memorial thing.
Nice.
On there, and this was actually donated to us. The light inside of this never goes out.
Okay.
It's always on 24/7. So it's kind of like that wall of honor to honor those before us and after us. And some of this is just like, you may remember these.
I do.
The old Plectron.
Yeah. The old Plectrons.
I remember them from
radio.
My dad, when he was chief of the fire company that I'm in, he used to have one of these, and they're the most annoying squawk boxes you've ever heard in your life. As time progressed, we got into the 800 megahertz system for the radios. We used to be back on the old fire bands.
Yeah.
So it was like knowledge to show people where we came from to the amazing accomplishments the service has made now. We just remind them of the old stuff. So if they happen to be watching a old episode of Rescue
or Emergency,
we actually have a picture hanging in here they signed for us.
That's awesome.
So yeah, and like some old stuff, like one of the original siren lights.
Yeah.
Where they were building one and the same. And on the end there is all the people that are in the Hall of Fame for the state of Delaware that are a member of our station.
Right. I love that you have this for the EMS stations. The fact that you're going to bring in a Cadillac once you get it and put it up here. This is awesome for people to come see. And I encourage anybody in the area that if you're around, stop in. They'd love to hear from you. They love to talk to people. Now, you're paid and volunteer, right?
Yes.
But you're always looking for volunteers and paid service.
One of the biggest things we try and push in our community is volunteerism.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's no secret to anybody that has fell off over the years, but we try and make that the kind of like backbone of our station.
Sure.
Because to me, without volunteers, you can't really accomplish anything you want, because that's when it comes from the heart. I've been a volunteer fireman for 32 years, so, and I do it because my dad was my hero, so
Yeah.
that's how I got into it, because I came home seeing him smell like smoke all the time, thought he was cool.
Okay. So being the station that it is and how big it is, do you have overnight staff that stays here, or do they respond from home?
All of our volunteers schedule time on the ambulance.
Okay.
Everything is done by schedule. We have 2 ambulances, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we run a 3rd ambulance from noon to midnight. And so when the volunteers sign up, they can fill those holes on the ambulance, and they just get their spot like everybody else does. And they clock in, they clock out, they get their points that way.
It's a good way to do that. You know who's going to come, you know the trucks are being filled.
It makes it more manageable for them to do it on their time, because a lot of volunteering now is you want them to be part of it.
Yep.
So you've got to find a way to make it easier on them.
Yeah.
So making it easier on them and saying, hey, you can decide now. We don't do any home alerting.
Okay.
Because being we're EMS only, we take people from all over the state.
Right.
We have volunteers from all over the state, and we have paid staff that come from all over the state. So, and we also have what's called administrative volunteers. So like our events, like we have a shrimp feast, stuff like that. All of our events that we put on are all done by volunteers.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
We just supplement them in that.
Okay. You mind taking us through the house? Yeah.
Come on, we'll show you where the magic's at.
All right.
So a little bit about this piece here on the wall is during 9/11 in this when it happened in the state of Delaware, they pulled all the ambulances in the state together. If they had 3 ambulances, they brought 2.
Okay.
If they had 2, they brought 1. We all met at the Delaware State Fire School and went to a convoy through New Jersey into the Meadowlands, but they called us off because they didn't have enough escorts.
I was working that day when it happened, and it was pretty amazing how quickly the different states from around, not just New York, but Maryland, Delaware, Jersey, Pennsylvania, we all kind of created our task force to go help out as much as we possibly could. Some of them made it into Ground Zero. Some of them, like for me, example, we went into Jersey and did transports in Jersey because they went into Ground Zero. People need to understand that when tragedies happen, we're all going to help out. Whether it's Delaware, Maryland, Pennsylvania, we're all coming.
Well, people have to realize, and I tell them all the time, when you take that oath to serve and protect, it's not always going to be where you're standing.
Yeah.
You have to remember that.
Exactly.
We'll take you on in here to show you the crew room.
Okay. Right off the lobby. That's nice.
So everybody here is volunteer and paid.
Yeah,
So
okay.
this is Charlie.
Nice to meet
He's
you.
one of our volunteer junior members, and Amy.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, thanks for inviting us in. We're
To be my nephew.
okay. We're definitely excited to see, how the EMS does it too. Many times we do the firehouses and we kind of forget. But realistically, 90% of the calls that even firehouses get are all EMS calls. So, the fact that we have the opportunity to get in and actually see what you guys are doing is pretty special.
Thank you for coming. We appreciate it.
All right.
Excited.
So with the strain and demand that EMS takes on the individuals, not only on the community, you have to make this feel like home, because this is their house for 24 hours. So what we did was we tried to go back to making a more home type environment for them, instead of just like a typical concrete wall, tile floor, don't spill nothing kind of thing. So
Right.
we decided to go with more theater like style seating, a little something plush to keep them
Yeah,
comfortable.
good recliners. You got the cup holders, all
Oh, they can charge
back,
their
relax.
phones, everything from me.
big TV and gaming station if you need to.
They got surround sound in here when they watch their movies.
Okay.
And over here is we made them a separate room
Okay.
for doing their reports.
Yep.
So this room pretty much falls dormant because with technology nowadays, they can do them on their phone. We have tablets, anything to get it done faster so they can relax more when they get back here.
Right. Right.
But that's what that room is for.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I like the fact that it's actually connected to your kitchen too. It's it's that open concept that every home is trying to do nowadays. You guys already incorporated into the building.
well, it's a little bit of strategy with the open concept, just as kind of like it is in the homes. Is so many people don't have as much time home anymore as they normally do. So interaction with people is the important thing. So if they're in here eating or they're cooking, they can still interact with everybody who's just sitting there, doing their thing, watching TV, playing a game. They can still hold conversations and be around each other.
Right, right. And you have everything that a normal kitchen. You have the stove, the dishwasher, refrigerator to actually cook and do meals for each other.
And you guys hit it lucky because you're on meal day, so
All right.
your lunch is sitting right over there, get ready to be cooked.
Sounds awesome.
Our assistant director and chef Jason Mills will be out here in a minute.
All right.
So we'll take you down here now, and
Okay.
as we were talking about,
That goes right back out the lobby. So you had two entrances for the crew room here area.
yes,
Okay. Okay.
one if they're coming in from the back door and they want to set their stuff down or take it into the kitchen before they throw their stuff in their bunks. So
Right.
this is a EMS supervisor. He's down on the floor, so that way he can have immediate contact with the crews when they come back. If he has anything he needs to talk to them, evaluations, everything is all done right in there. Because it's kind of unique is how we have volunteers and paid staff.
Okay.
When they're serving on the unit as the EMS provider or whatever, they all fall under him.
Okay.
So
That makes it
And he-
easy. That keeps that consistency, and you don't get those battles between paid versus, volunteers, which we've all had, But if you have one guy that's, the point of contact, it makes it easy for both.
yes, and it keeps it simple.
Yeah,
Yeah, the KISS method.
exactly. I love that.
So after they drop their stuff here, we have bunk rooms for females down there and
Okay.
males down here. We set them up so they're fully functional for
Nice.
them. Everybody has their own locker.
Okay.
As you can see, they eloquently put their names on them
Yeah.
so they can be identified. 4 bunks for each. As we're growing and the power unit gets moving, we're going to look to switching these out to actual bunk beds
Okay.
because we're finding that 4 sometimes just ain't enough.
Right. Right.
They have a fully functioning shower, everything in here, so that if they need to take a shower after a nasty call or something, they can go right in there, put the ambulance down, take a shower, get themselves situated.
Okay. Do you run 12-hour shifts, 24-hour shifts, 8-hour shifts? What do you
They're
normally run?
24-hour shifts. Our full timers were due with the reverse 24.
Okay.
We actually let them pick it.
Okay.
We put the options on the table, called them all individually on the phone, so they didn't have to be in a room. Let them have an individual opinion. And the majority, all except for one of our full timers, picked reverse 24. So full timers work 6P to 6P.
Okay.
Full time or part timers just fill in everywhere around there.
Right.
Some of them work full time hours,
Sure.
just where the need is.
Okay.
And the power unit is noon to midnight.
Right. Now, in the state of Delaware, you are BLS, correct?
Yeah.
So the state of Delaware, you guys are considered BLS, and the ALS comes from where?
The county.
The county.
Back in 1992. 91 is when the program started. Was all it was in Kent County was what was known as the City of Dover Medics, and they only had like 2 trucks.
Okay.
So they had to do the entire county, which obviously, as it grows, wasn't enough.
Right.
Mostly in Dover. So the state government went in and created a program where each county now controls ALS.
Okay.
So in doing that, they started a program where they started making their own providers, and now they're actually back to that now.
Okay.
They're actually sending them to school, training them while they're being paid, and then they have I believe it's a 3-year agreement.
After they get their license.
After they get their national registry and can move on to it. So
Okay.
all ALS is handled by the county, which here it's a very tight knit because the ALS station for Smyrna is right across the street.
Okay.
So when we make dinner,
Yeah.
they're usually over here. They come hang out.
Good working relationship,
yeah.
good collaboration is the key for success for a lot of companies.
Well, 64 has always been known as the company that will take everything on.
Yep.
So like when they make pilot programs, 64 is the first one to jump on it. Back in our old protocols, they had a list of medications that could be used. 64 here, we gave it all because it's my belief that if they're your protocols and I'm asking you to work here, I should give you every tool in the bag
Right.
to not make you go out on a call and feel less because you didn't have that one thing that could have helped the patient.
Right. Right.
And that gets you with the state and everything like that, you know. It puts you on the forefront of doing great things.
Right, right, and making that toolbox as as full as possible. So when those outliners, those zebras that come out, you're like, oh, I needed it. You had it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty cool to see.
Yep.
Okay, and then we go back out into the hallway.
Well, I'll take you back out here and I'll show you where we store all of our vests
Okay.
and our radios.
All right.
And then I'll take you out to the Bay of Money Making.
All right. Looks like you had one more room that was the boardroom, right?
Yes, if you want to go down here.
Yeah.
This is our board of directors. Ours is some departments do it, but ours is a little unique. Our board of directors is made up by 3 people from the American Legion Post 14. 3 of them are members of the community,
Okay.
business owners and such, and 3 members are from the station.
Okay.
So we have that business perspective
Yeah.
because a true board of directors is supposed to look at the vision and future along with the director,
Yeah.
and you let the operations people worry about the operations, and they're really good about that.
Right.
They're excellent here.
Right.
Our chairman of the board, Mark Carlson, he's been with us since we converted to that because we were a 501c19
Okay.
with the Legion.
Right.
So we went to the 501c3. That way we could get in on the grants, things like that. And it's we're still with the Legion. We're
Okay.
still part of the Legion family. We're just at a different area when it comes in there because it gives us more opportunities to grab a hold of things
Yeah.
and help us out and help the community because that's what we're looking for.
Yeah, one of the things that is challenging is always raising those funds, whether we do fundraisers, whether we do grants, as you were just mentioning before, or even just reaching out to the community, the business leaders out there and asking for donations. What do you guys do here? And if someone's watching the video and they're like, hey, I want to get involved, I have something I can give to you, how do they get a hold of you, Chief?
All they have to do is go to our Facebook page. On our Facebook page, look for the QR code. They can sign up for there. Here at Ambulance 64, we have what's called Community Info Nights. Once a month, we put out everywhere. It's more or less a piece of paper that has a QR code on it. You go in and sign up. When you come here, you're met by 2 volunteers and 2 paid. They give you a tour of the station. They let you know the ins and outs of everything we do. Because if you don't want to serve on the ambulance, because that's not your cup of tea,
Sure.
we have an administrative half of the business that you can serve in. And as I always say, everybody has something to bring to the table. Because if you're a retired accountant, we have a finance committee. You can help out with that and keeps us with those people that know those areas better than we do.
Right.
What was it Roosevelt that always said, if I didn't know how to do it, I always knew who to pick up the phone and call.
Exactly.
That's the way you try and keep it, because those people are the ones that have already had that vision before you and can tell you if your vision is way too far away or you need to bring it closer quicker.
Right. Yeah, this is an excellent room. The fact that you have a big table that people can come in, sit down, have those meetings, and have that mission and vision statements and reevaluate, have that 5-year, 10-year plan makes a real big success. And you guys are 100 years into it, so you're obviously doing it right.
Yeah.
Many of the stations that we go to, whether it's fire, EMS, or even police stations, they don't know what the vision is. They don't even know what the vision statement is, and that can be an issue.
Actually, what we did is in Delaware there is a thing called Dana. It's for nonprofits. It's a group, and I'm pretty sure if you look throughout all the other states, there's an organization like that. And what they are is they're management helping tools for nonprofit. So we actually brought them in and built a strategic plan. And anybody knows a strategic plan, it's a revolving door.
Yeah.
One drops off, you jump back onto another. Keeping the budget in the area of that strategic plan. And I did our strategic plan down to the minute detail. I mean, it even has the snack machines in it. Because here's my theory is, and some people say it's unrealistic, but I look at everything.
Yeah.
If you hear 6 people in the crew room say, man, I'd really love to have this type of chip in our thing, and part of our strategic plan is to monitor that and bring the things in that they want, they're more opted to be happier when they're here because you're giving them what they want because they're already here doing what
Right,
you have.
right.
So make their life a little bit easier because you've been in the business long enough. We see things that people shouldn't see.
Yeah.
And if it's just that bag of chips that makes them happy coming back from a hard call, I'll go ahead and put it in the machine and I'll have it in there.
That's awesome.
That's why we got 10 million C4s.
Is that one of your tones going off?
Yep.
All right. Maybe we'll catch up to that crew later.
We'll go out here and I'll show you one of the unique things in our district is we have the largest prison in the state of Delaware within our district.
Okay.
We also have, it's James T. Vaughn Correctional Center.
Okay.
You may have seen it make the news a couple years ago, and they had an uprising. in the
Oh,
prison.
yeah.
It's we were there for that.
Okay.
as well. But in doing so, part of the business we live in nowadays
Yep.
says that we have to protect our people. In order to protect our people,
Oh, nice.
what we did is each member usually buys their own vest, so it's better fitted to them.
Yep.
But means we do our fire school in this state does the EMT class.
Okay.
All the people have to get 10 rides before the end of their class. So we're usually the #1 station they come to because we're the busiest. We're the second busiest in the county, but the first is in Dover.
Okay.
They're a paid service.
Right.
So what we did is we looked at the average sizes
Yep.
that would be used by general people,
Okay.
from the smallest to the tallest. And we went out and we generalized them and we refreshed half of them every 2.5 years so they don't hit their 5-year cycle.
Yep.
And this is where they also come for their communication needs.
Right. Each of the
But
radios.
There's none sitting in there now because we have 3 ambulances up. And
Yeah. The one thing that is both exciting and sad about this room is it's sad that in today's society, our EMS people that are going out to help need to protect themselves with a bulletproof vest.
yes.
That's the sad part. On the other side of that, you are actually creating these vests that actually don't look militaristic. They have almost like more pouches on them rather than, weapons or anything like that. And you're really distinctly identifying yourself as EMS, even though you have to wear a vest.
When we actually went and looked towards the vest, my big thing about getting the vest is that your tools are at your fingertip. So anything you would need in the efforts of going into an issue where this is, you have a pocket for your tourniquet, you have a pocket for your radio. This pocket here will fit any size cell phone.
Okay.
So if you get into a certain area and need to make a phone call and turn your radio off so
Right.
the assailant can't hear you, your phone is close to you. And anything that you may carry in here is completely up to you.
Right. So this pretty much eliminates my Batman belt that I wear. I wear a belt pretty consistently for the last 31 years. I have my scissors, my radio, my glove pouch. Putting it on my vest is a good way to get rid of that and get it off my hips.
Well, these used to be 24/7, and the way I had it was if the key turned on the ambulance, it was on you.
Okay.
When COVID hit, you know as well as I do, we look like spacemen going into minor calls that
Right,
we walked into for years.
Yeah.
So we went back to we have codes just like everybody else. So anything that falls in the 32 category, which would be an unknown medical emergency, you wear them. Anything you go to the correctional facility or anything that's dispatched with police.
Sure. It's just like putting on your fire gear or your turnout equipment when you're going to an auto accident.
And we made life easy for them. And when you do the tour of our unit, you'll notice in one of the back compartments, there's a rod that sits up there. So they actually take their vest and hang it in the ambulance. That way, if they're out on the street and they get hit for a call, they can stop and put the vest on.
Love that.
Try to think ahead for them.
Yeah, I was going to say, definitely forward thinking.
We do a lot of things with the community. We work a lot with politicians and stuff like that to get the goals we need.
Sure.
So in doing that, we always thought that you always pick the best wall that you can get a picture on. So we took a little step further. we went and got a celebratory backdrop.
Yeah, yeah.
So anytime that you have to do a picture, we do it right there in front of that.
Those are actually really good because when I went to the Hershey convention near us, they have those kind of things up. So you can, put a table in front of it and do recruiting and all that kind of stuff.
It goes to every event we go to.
Yeah, yeah.
That was Amy that you met earlier.
Okay,
She's in charge of our events committee.
okay.
So we collaborate a lot together, and that was a lot of her forethinking, bring stuff like that. That's why I always say, if you don't want to ride in the ambulance, there's always something for you to do, and you can volunteer to do it. And the great part about volunteering to do is you can do it on your schedule, your time,
Okay.
but you can still help out the community because everybody's job is what equates to the mission of
Yeah.
going out the door.
Right.
From the smallest thing to the biggest.
Right. So if I were to want to volunteer and maybe I'm interested in it, is there an age limit that I have to be? Is it do you have a juniors program? Do I have to be, a certain age?
We have a juniors program that is 16 to 18 years old.
Okay.
We also have a program mostly comes through the schools in allied health.
Okay.
They come over here to do ride-alongs so they can get a better feel of it.
Right.
But 16 to 18 is junior, and 18 on is probationary until you met your requirements, and then you can move forward in the regular membership.
Okay. And when they come to your station and they want to volunteer, do they have to have those certifications to start volunteering?
No.
Okay.
The beauty of the state of Delaware is through the Delaware State Fire School, they've obtained what's called seed money. So if you want to become an EMT, the cost is bared on the state. All your training is paid for through the station, so your upkeep.
Wow.
Anything you got to do, we try and make as easy as possible for you to be a volunteer. All you have to do is walk through the door.
Yeah. And imagine this, guys. You have to go to college to do a lot of different things. Having your college basically paid for.
Yeah.
You can start a career in EMS. You can volunteer in EMS. And here in the state of Delaware, it's telling me they're paying for it. What a way to go.
And actually, don't quote me on it, but I do believe that if you take the EMT class and successfully complete it, it does count towards college credit.
Nice.
So, all right. So up here is the what I call the brain center.
Okay.
Most of this is administrative and training up here.
Sure.
Our assistant director has an office up here. My office is up here.
Okay.
Our chief financial person and her assistant, which is in there now, Carter, they have their own office here.
Okay.
Just the everyday business has got busier than what you can just handle.
Sure.
So we come in and we supplement them volunteers by, taking care of the station for them. This is their house. We just take care of it for them on a daily basis.
Right. Right.
That's how
And
you try.
really
and
the
keep
backbone to any organization, whether it's corporate, whether it's EMS or public safety, is that strong administrative staff that understands the mission, understands that vision that we talked about, and knows how to get the things that need to be done to take care of the people that are out taking care of those calls and taking care of those people.
And the beauty of it is here, I am the director, but I don't make a decision without the advice of my management team. So my management team is made up by the EMS supervisor, assistant director, and the volunteer ambulance captain, Amanda Evans. So we meet once every 2 weeks, and we plot out what we need to get done for the coming month, any small issues that arise that we need to talk about, and we lay it out. So everything is kind of across the board, but everybody is the same, because when you have an EMT card in your pocket, you're a professional, whether you get a check or whether you're a volunteer.
Exactly.
And that's the way we try and put it across the board to everybody. So
Right.
it keeps everybody on that spot. So.
Now, you mentioned that you have a training center here also. The state, you said, actually takes on your EMT. Can you kind of show us what you have in a training center?
Sure, right this way. So what we did was, in the state of Delaware a couple years ago, it used to be that you had to have 48 hours every 2 years.
Okay.
They took that away because they felt the constraints were too much on the EMTs to stay up on it.
Okay.
So what we found was looking at patient care, upkeep of ambulances, radio etiquettes, charting. The things were falling off.
Right.
So there's one way you fix that. You either fix the problem yourself or you go look for somebody else to do it. We have instructors that are already here. We have one of the top ALS providers that retired that is one of the lead instructors, and he's like, hey, we can do this ourselves.
Right.
So we got together and we went to the Fire Commission, and we were granted to start our approved training center for the state of Delaware.
Okay. The one thing about a training center, though, too, when you have it in-house, you can do those trainings as you mentioned, but it gives that end user confidence when they get on that call that they know what they're doing. Many times EMTs and paramedics, we get out there and like, is this right? Is it wrong? What did my protocol say? But by having either a weekly, monthly, or annually training makes a really big difference on that end user confidence to take care of those patients.
Absolutely. Also downstairs when we get to the bay, I'll show you, we have weekly training setups that everybody has to do. And so here's my biggest thing. Every first impression is what counts.
Yeah.
Right? So if you come here to do a ride along from the fire school and you're just going to be an EMT, and you come to a station and say, man, they're over here training weekly, they're pushing their people for, I want to be part of this,
100%, yeah.
And making that first impression and creating the training division is what gets you there, because if you're happy with where you're at, you'll never move forward. So you should always strive to keep going.
Good philosophy there, Chief.
So in here is our official meeting room / training center.
Okay.
So you will see, maybe a shameless plug, but
there you go.
This is the banner that we take with us when we go places.
Okay.
The entire town of Smyrna, they have their own public works, police department, all that. We do all the CPR training for the entire, and that's a school.
Okay.
We have 11 schools.
Nice.
In our district.
Okay.
And we do all the CPR training for them, from cafeteria staff all the way to bus drivers.
Wow. It's a lot of work. That's almost a full-time job in itself. It's just training.
Yes. Yes. The talent we have in this station, and I don't say it because I'm the director, but the talent that we have here, we've harnessed. And if you let personal egos let talent walk out the door, you're not in the business for the right reasons.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
There's even some stuff in my old school ways that I'm just like, okay,
Yeah.
because sometimes you find yourself there. It's like, doesn't look like it's going to be a good fit for us, but go ahead and try it.
Right.
Because you got to instill confidence in them as much as they want to prove it to you. So
Right.
that gives them that extra drive and step too. So.
I love the fact that you have the individual or the desk here, and you have the technology too. It looks like you have the old smart boards and video and everything that you need.
If you notice walking in the door, it says no dry erase markers.
Yeah.
Audit. A lot of people will mistake that, but we have the capability to, we can hear, this is camera fed.
Yeah.
So we can do Zoom meetings, we can do trainings in the room and put them out to other stations wherever.
Okay.
As long as it has that number, we can do trainings. That also can, anything that you can fit on a zip drive, we can train.
That's awesome.
So one of the things we did here was we took very serious with field training, because it goes back to the conversation we had earlier, that first impression is the lasting impression. So to become a field training officer in the state of Delaware, you get a card after watching some things, which is not bad. It's giving you some insight.
Yeah, yeah.
We looked at it a little bit deeper, that field training isn't about medical. It's about personal interaction.
Yeah.
And knowing the people that you're working with and how you can better communicate with them to make that situation more comfortable for them. We already know the medical. We got the cards, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So why not learn the aspect of bringing them into it and teaching them the right way and giving them extra tools?
Yeah. Well, one of the things is I'm a field preceptor also. I've been doing it for a number of years. I'm an instructor for paramedic and EMTs. And one of the challenges that I had is for the next generation is they're almost kind of losing the ability to communicate with people because they're behind the phone all the time. And it's no fault of their own. It's, really what society has kind of gone. But when they got in and we get them on a truck and you say, okay, you got a half hour, you're going to meet a stranger, and now you have to strike up a conversation with that stranger for the next half hour. How do you do that? And a lot of them struggle. So having a good field preceptor to, walk them through that and say, hey, one of the biggest things is this.
Yep.
Nice to meet you. My name is Mike. And just doing that introduction really makes a big difference. And having an instructor program to teach that is huge.
And what we do with our field training officers is before you even touch the ambulance with them, you sit down with them. They converse with you to find out, like, what's your best learning style? Because we can take anything and turn it interactive.
Yeah.
But if that's what I have to do, but at some point in time, you're going to have to make that contact And I find that with most providers, that is the hardest part. It is actually making that interaction. And that's all across the board.
Yeah, yeah.
Is because sometimes people just don't people.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
So
Yeah.
what I was telling you about earlier, this is the
Okay, the QR codes here.
yeah, the community info nights.
Yep.
And they have every one that we have for every month for like 3 months.
So my staff always tease me because I put a QR code on my truck, and they're like, "Oh, that's dorky." No one, it's working.
Yeah. Those QR codes are amazing. We used to go other routes, and Amy, actually, she is, we call her the QR bandit because everything we do, you'll find a QR code
Yep.
for it somewhere.
Makes it easy. Gets right there.
And we're actually looking to put those on the units.
Yep.
So, because what's your biggest billboard?
Your truck.
Yeah.
That's why it's on my truck.
The number one thing everybody says is we always see your ambulances everywhere.
Yep.
We put that QR code on it, and you can learn more about us by just
Exactly.
riding by the ambulance.
Oh wow, you guys got the full mannequins and
Here's Daryl and his other brother Daryl.
there.
I don't know if everybody.
Oh yeah, I recognize that one.
Oh boy. Hi, I'm Larry. This is my brother Daryl. That's my other brother Daryl.
We got a full complement of everything you would need for learning how to lift a stretcher
Yep.
manually. You
Yep.
can do it manually or electronic because that's a forgotten.
Yeah, it is. I remember the old finger pinchers, but
Yeah.
you know, having that ability to use, you know, a 175-pound mannequin versus just the Sims head or something like that.
That's
is a big difference.
175.
Yeah,
That's 225.
that's 225.
And I don't know how much that weighs. We never weighed it. Yeah, so we did a lot of things. We actually, I don't know where it's at. We just purchased an actual lung machine.
Okay.
So newer providers, one of the biggest struggles we always found that you don't really know lung sounds, you just learn about them.
Yeah.
So this machine actually shows how the lungs function with certain diseases like COPD.
Okay.
And you can actually put your stethoscope to the back of it and hear what that lung sound will sound.
That's huge.
So when they get out on the street, they're like, oh, I recognize this one. This is Ronchi.
Yep.
Because Ronchi is just a word until you hear it.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
And I always tell every provider out there that's just starting out, first thing you want to do is listen to lung sounds at every patient. Even if they're not having a respiratory problem, listen to lung sounds because you don't know what bad is until you know what good is.
It's just, we looked, like I said, when we looked into it, we found that there's small areas that aren't taught, like radios. Radios are not taught in fire school.
Right.
People don't know how to communicate on them. So our FTOs actually sit down in a separate room and they make them give a med report to them on our company channel. So they can work through on how to do it. So they build that confidence here. So everything's muscle memory, right?
Yeah.
So you do it here. When you go to pick up the radio and you're in the move, you just roll
That's
through it. So.
All right, where to next, Chief? Are we going to head down to the bay or is there still more up here?
There's not really much more up here unless you want to see our
Okay.
computers. I
Okay.
mean,
Computers are computers.
this is our events room.
Okay.
I'll introduce you to Carter.
Hello.
He's
Nice
one of
to
our.
meet you. I'm
of our-
Mike from Heroes Next Door. Thanks for inviting us in.
I would like to introduce you to our mascot.
Oh,
This is our mascot, Rhodey.
okay.
Rhodey's is, if you notice on our units, we had permission years ago from them to use the Roadrunner
Okay.
on our ambulance.
Yeah.
With one of the actual letters that we kept, it was permission to use that. So in order to get in touch with the younger generation, the younger crowd,
Sure.
we thought cool at events, what's cooler than having a mascot?
Yeah.
So we have Rhodey the Rescue Roadrunner.
Now we make our way down to the engine bay.
Here's the bay.
It's a nice big bay. How many trucks do you usually store here?
There's 4 ambulances that stay stored here.
Okay.
Our EMS unit, this is our supervisor / chase unit.
Okay.
We just haven't got to the supervisor part yet. So basically, if we got a hit for a CPR right now in our district, us sitting around here would go ahead and hop in that,
Okay.
and we would head out to the scene. Unless there's an ambulance available, we'll take the ambulance in its place.
Okay.
Uh,
Kind of like a mini QRS BLS.
yes,
us,
it
yeah.
also pulls our special operations gator
Okay.
that is out in the parking lot in the trailer. So we do a lot of events 4th of July is huge in Smyrna. We do Smyrna Night Out where they have local bands. You probably heard of them this last summer with Smash Mouth.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of them.
And
Yeah.
so they're getting bigger bands every year, so the crowd gets bigger.
Okay.
So it's a fully functional EMS gator, lights, sirens, easier to get through people, to get to where you got to be. Out here, we put a screen out here and we put a 70-inch TV on the wall because at night when you get up to take calls, you're groggy. You're not all with it, so looking at your phone could be exhausting. So actually what this does is every time we have a dispatch, the screen changes to what the actual dispatch is. It'll show the location, what the call is, and it'll have the time up in the corner that they have left to respond. Because our dispatch center in Kent County is accredited, so we follow the national standards of response.
Yep.
And that national standard of response time is up in the corner. So if they know they might have to put a little pep in the step.
Yeah, yeah. So what's out here? I noticed you got a lot of storage up over the balcony on this side, but what are the other rooms here? These are, I assume, the dorms?
That'll go to the female bunk room, that'll go to the male.
Okay.
The chief engineer room.
Yep.
So anything that has to do with any of the services of the ambulance, any tools you might need, all the spare tires we keep in there.
You change your own tires here?
Oh, yeah. We go through some tires.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
for sure.
Tires, light bulbs, they go out quite a bit.
Yeah.
So.
Well, when I first started here in 2008, after 3 months here, they found out that I used to be a mechanic. So I wasn't like a big, huge mechanic, but I was a mechanic, worked on things, stuff like that. So they made me chief engineer. I held that all the way up until like 2016.
Okay.
And when I became director, I kind of gave that up.
Right.
Our other room over there is building and grounds.
Okay.
So anything that has to do with fixing holes in the wall, doing this and that, that's all contained in that room.
Nice.
That's our fire room.
Okay.
All the pipes that lead to the sprinklers and everything, they're all in there.
Okay.
Anything that they need at their fingertips is contained in the yellow cabinet over there.
Okay.
Oil, antifreeze, stay dry, clean.
Yep.
Anything they need. And over in this one is where we store all of our equipment that is needed on the ambulance.
Okay. So your restock room.
Yeah. So
Okay.
the biggest challenge is trying to, as you know, BLS is looked at through the federal DOT.
Yep.
So we're considered a service, not a provider.
Yep.
So we have to keep everything on hand because it just doesn't automatically get restocked. So what we did is this actually used to be the room that housed the mower and all the stuff to take care of the grounds.
Okay.
As we got busier, we found out we couldn't do that anymore. So we converted this to our equipment room because if you look in the back there, you can still see the garage door
Okay.
where the mower came in and out. So
Right. Right.
they've adapted their own way that they keep this room that is very easy for them.
Yeah.
So we have a system here. It's called Operative IQ. And in Operative IQ, it works with our IOPS and it tracks all of our vehicles.
Okay.
I can monitor where any of our vehicles are at any time, the speeds they're running, trends that happen in the vehicles, but also with that, they'll come in here and on their phones or a tablet, they'll request the item they need out of the room.
Okay.
Then the shift leader will come in and once they can take that, but the shift leader has to come in and actually mark it.
Okay. So it keeps an eye on your inventory then too. That's a good way to do that. So a lot of times we're like, oh, I'm going to need 3 or 4 of those. Oh, I'm going to need 2 or 4. And by the time we're done, the supply guy's like, why didn't I know this was out?
And it also comes down to managing your money because I think that we really need to keep in mind, and when we're in this business, this is also the public's money and they're trusting us in it
Sure.
to do the right thing with it.
Yep.
So keep track of your stuff and cut down the costs you don't need to spend. Better puts that money towards newer ambulances that can serve them better when they call 911. All of our mandated drugs are kept in a cabinet.
Okay.
So nothing's narcotic in
Right.
BLS.
Chief, this was awesome. Thank you so much for taking us around your house. We appreciate that you're opening up the doors. I know you guys are busy. You have 4 ambulances and they're not even here. That's one thing when we go to fire stations, quite as busy with fires, but they do a lot of EMS calls too. It's nice to see the other side of it. It's one thing that we kind of get overlooked. Sometimes we're considered the redheaded stepchild of the service, but I'm okay with that. It is what it is. So the fact that you guys allow me to, come here and, show us your house was fantastic.
We love having you here and getting the information out to the public so they know what it's about and that you can be a part of this is what's important to me.
Right.
Because our door's always open. Like I said earlier, the first step is you got to walk through it. We'll take care of the rest of it for you from there.
That's awesome. And in a future episode, we're going to do a station rigs on one of their trucks. So make sure you guys hit subscribe, hit notifications, smash those like buttons, make some comments below. We really want to hear back from you guys. That's what motivates me to move forward and keep doing this. Thank you all for watching. We really appreciate you. We'll see you again next week. Welcome back to Here's Next Door. Thank you all for joining us today. We are in Delaware and we're doing the American Legion EMS service. We're going to be taking a look at their ambulance on this station rigs, so let's go see what they have.